Welcome to the castle, everybody. This is Nightsaber Z42, and this is Character Vault, a series where I go through the entire character creation process in various tabletop RPGs, and today we're going to be taking a look at Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. This is the latest iteration of the Savage Worlds series. I actually started way back in the Explorers Edition, and quite a bit has changed over time. If you want to read that 50-page PDF, be my guest. Link will be down in the description below. But regardless, let's go ahead and pop this book open and see what the whole entire process contains. There's a nice character creation summary here on page 49, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. The first thing that we're going to do is start with a character concept. That way we know exactly what it is that we're getting into. And since Savage Worlds encompasses a wide variety of different genres, it's really going to be up to your GM to describe their vision for the game that you're going to be playing in. Next, we'll go ahead and choose our ancestry. Then we'll choose some hindrances. And after that, we're going to start distributing our attribute points and our skill points. We'll have some derived statistics to look at, but there's really nothing for us to do aside from calculate our parry and our toughness, and then we'll choose any edges if we have any hindrance points to spend. Last but not least, we're going to purchase some gear for our character. So let's start with our character concept. I actually thought about this one, and I want to build a pulp sci-fi spaceman, much like Doc Savage or Buck Rogers of the 25th century, or dare I even say Zaf Brannigan from Futurama. He should be athletic and charming, and maybe a little low in the intelligence department. Let's go ahead and turn to the Ancestries on page 12. There's actually quite a few number of ancestries to choose from in this book. We have things like the android, the Aquarians, which were the Atlanteans in the old ways, avians, dwarves, elves, humans, and Merkashans. Of course, going in with my character concept, I'm going to actually choose humans. Humans in most settings get one free edge of their choice, and this option reflects their versatility and adaptability compared to most other ancestries. We have the trait adaptable, so we do begin play with a novice edge of our choosing, but we still have to meet the requirements as usual. We'll get to that edge here in a little bit though. For now, let's go over to our hindrances. Hindrances are character flaws and physical handicaps that occasionally make life a little tougher for our heroes. And if we're going in line with the character concept that I have, boy do we have plenty to choose from here. The first hindrance I'm going to choose is arrogant. Your hero doesn't think he's the best, he knows he is. Whether it's swordsmanship, kung fu, or painting. Few compare to his skills and he flaunts it every chance he gets. There doesn't seem to be any mechanical benefit or detriment to having arrogant, it's just the way that you're going to play your character. And the same goes with a lot of these different hindrances, although some of them do have some mechanical detriments to them. Hindrances come in two different varieties, either minor or major. Minor hindrances give you 1 point, and major hindrances give you 2 points, which you can spend on edges or even increasing attributes and skills and things like that. We can only take up to 4 points in hindrances during character creation. So arrogant is going to be 1. And if I'm going to take arrogant, then it only makes sense that I have overconfident as well. There's nothing out there your hero can't defeat. At least that's what he thinks. He believes he can do most anything and never wants to retreat from a challenge. He's not suicidal, but he certainly takes on more than common sense dictates. Overconfident is a major hindrance, so that's another 2 extra points, granting us a total of 4 points of hindrances. Let's move on to our attributes. There are 5 different attributes in the game. We have agility, which is a measure of a character's nimbleness, dexterity, and general coordination. We have smarts, which measures raw intelligence, mental acuity, and how fast a heroine thinks on her feet. It's also used to resist certain types of mental and social attacks. Then there's spirit, which is self-confidence, backbone, and willpower. It's used to resist social and supernatural attacks as well as fear. Then there's strength, which is physical power and fitness. It's also used as the basis of a warrior's damage in hand-to-hand combat and to determine how much he can wear or carry. And last but not least, we have vigor, which represents an individual's endurance, resistance to disease, poison or toxins, and how much physical damage she can take before she can't go on. It is most often used to resist fatigue effects and as the basis for the derived stats of toughness. Savage Worlds is all about the skills, not so much about the attributes, but attributes do have a place. Attributes determine how fast skills increase during advancement. They also limit access to edges, so if your attributes are low, then some edges are going to be out of reach. Attributes also derive secondary statistics such as toughness or melee damage, and resist effects such as being grappled or counter spells, powers, or social attacks such as taunt or intimidation. With that being said, we have 5 points to distribute, and each step costs 1 point. So amongst agility, smart, spirit, strength, and vigor, we're going to start at D4 for each of those. That's given. We don't have to spend any points. I'm going to increase our agility to D6, so that's going to cost 1 point. Our smarts is actually going to stay at D4, so no points right there. Spirit will go to D6, so that's another point. Strength will go to D8, costing us 2 points. And vigor will go up to D6, costing us our 5th and final point. Let's talk about skills for a moment. We have 12 points to put into skills, although some skills start at a D4, such as athletics, which is an agility ability. We have common knowledge, which is for smarts. We have notice, which is also for smarts. Persuasion, which is for spirit, and stealth, which is for agility. Everything else starts at a 0. We can still roll for them, it's just way more difficult to pass any sort of a test involving those skills. Let's start with the 5 given skills. I'm going to increase athletics to a D6. I'm going to keep common knowledge at a D4. I'm going to keep notice at a D4. I'm going to increase persuasion all the way up to D8. And I'm going to keep stealth at D4. Since we have a pulp sci-fi type of a hero, it would only make sense that he should be good at driving and shooting, and also the occasional quip. So we're going to increase driving to a D4. We're going to increase fighting to D6, and fighting is mainly used for hand-to-hand combat, so melee attacks, things like that. We are going to increase piloting to a D6, and then we're going to increase shooting to D6. And last but not least, we're going to go ahead and increase taunt to D4. It should be worth mentioning that we do need to take our attributes into account. For example, our agility is a D6. So that means any skill that uses agility, such as driving, we can go up to our agility die for the cost of 1 point. So for instance, driving is a agility skill, right? So that means we can use 1 point to increase it to D4. And if we really wanted, we could increase it to a D6 for another point. If we go above the D6, however, that's going to cost 2 points. Needless to say, everything that I purchased here, aside from persuasion, actually cost 1 point. So we didn't really have to worry all that much about it. Next, let's take a look at our derived stats. That's going to be standard pace, parry, and toughness. Our standard pace is 6 inches, but that also may be changed by ancestral abilities, edges, or hindrances. For now, that just means that on our battle map, we can move 6 inches. Next is parry, which is 2 plus half of fighting. Our fighting is 6, so half of that is 3 plus 2 will be 5. Our toughness is 2 plus half of vigor, plus any armor that we are wearing. For now, half of our vigor is going to be 3 plus the other 2, which makes it 5. When we add armor, our armor is actually going to be in a parentheses. So this means that that amount of points of the total toughness is coming from our armor. Now, let's take a look at the edges. If we have any leftover hindrance points, we can actually spend them on edges. Each edge costs 2 hindrance points, and I have not used any hindrance points quite yet because I actually want to use them here on the edges. But let's rewind for a moment because we do have a free edge from our human ancestry. I'm going to choose aristocrat. This individual was born into privilege or came into it later in life. She may or may not have money, the rich or filthy rich edge, but she still walks in the elite social circles of the setting. Aristocrats add +2 to persuasion when networking with the local elite, captains of industry, nobles, or other aristocrats. They also add +2 to common knowledge rolls made to know the etiquette of the upper class, recognize family trees or heraldry, or recall gossip concerning others of their station. I definitely think that fits something like our pulp sci-fi hero here. For our other two edges, I'm going to choose Brawny, which is a novice, requires a strength of D6 plus and a vigor of D6 plus. Your bruiser is very large or very fit. Her size increases by +1 and therefore toughness by 1. And she treats her strength as 1 die type higher when determining encumbrance and minimum strength to use armor, weapons, and equipment without a penalty. Although Brawny can't increase the character size above +3, by the way. The other one that I'm going to choose is a career edge, and that is Soldier. This is a novice edge, which requires strength of D6 plus and vigor D6 plus. Professional soldiers get used to carrying heavy loads and enduring harsh conditions. After a few days getting used to their gear, they treat their strength as 1 die type higher when determining encumbrance and minimum strength to use armor, weapons, and equipment without a penalty. This does stack with Brawny Edge, by the way. They also get a free reroll on vigor rolls made to survive environmental hazards. And just like that, our 4 hindrance points are done. Let's go ahead and purchase some gear while we're at it. We have $500 worth of equipment to purchase. This will encompass things like common gear, armor, and of course, weapons. Let's start with our armor. We're actually going to turn to the futuristic armor because we're living in a futuristic pulp sci-fi world here. And we're just going to get a standard basic body armor. This increases our armor by +4. It requires a minimum strength of D4 and has a weight of 4. It costs $200, so that's a lot of money right there. But hey, it'll give us some protection. Oh, and did I mention that we can get something called energy skin? So any armor listed below may be treated with an energy skin to diffuse energy, reducing damage from lasers by 4. This costs 50% of the armor treated and is very shiny, which subtracts 2 from stealth rolls based on vision. We're going to spend another 100 credits to add energy skin to our body armor, making the total cost 300. For our weapons, we're just going to get a standard laser pistol. This will deal 2d6 worth of damage, has a rate of fire of 1, and has a minimum strength requirement of D4, and it costs 250. So that leaves us with 50 credits left. And I think that's going to be fine for just now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the final character sheet. And here we have Dash Orion. He is a male. I'm not going to bother putting height or weight because there really wasn't any distinction as to the different sizes and what height or weight they should be. So I think just having a size of 2 is fine enough. Our pace is 6. Our parry is 5. Our toughness should actually be at 10 with our increased size. And the 4 is actually our armor. So the way it should be written is we should have a toughness of 10 and then the 4 is in parentheses. So that means we have 4 armor right there before it goes into our toughness. For our attributes, we have a D6 in agility, a D4 in smarts, a D6 in spirit, a D8 in strength, and a D6 in vigor. For athletics, we're going to have 6, common knowledge is 4, notice is 4, persuasion is all the way up to 8, and stealth is 4. We've included 5 other skills. We have driving, which is at 4, piloting, which is at 6, taunt, which is at 4, fighting, which is at 6, and shooting, which is at 6. For our hindrances, we're arrogant and overconfident. That's something that we can roleplay quite easily. And for our edges, we have brawny, soldier, and aristocrat. We don't have any powers to speak of yet, but we do have a couple weapons. Most notably our laser pistol, which has a range of 15, 30, and 60. It deals 2d6 damage, has a rate of fire of 1, and is 2 weight. I've also included fists as a weapon, so unarmed combat here in this instance. And the rules for that is you're just going to use your strength die for that. So our strength is D8, so we're just going to deal strength damage. This is also non-lethal damage, most likely, so I went ahead and wrote that as well. And that's all there is to creating a character in Savage Worlds. It's pretty much straightforward. If you have a really good character concept, it's made even easier. And that's going to do it for this video, so feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up to support this series, and I will see you guys in the next video.